your hands to this.
2020 is not the year that everyone was expecting. Welcome to History in the Making, and today we will be counting down the top 10 news and events that have hit the Philippines. Before we proceed, make sure to subscribe for more contents like this. In this episode, we're taking a look at the biggest news and scandals that have hit the country this year of 2020. From natural destruction to government lapses, they are all fair game here. Number 10. The African swine flu outbreak. As of March 30 of this year, Philippine authorities have confirmed 69 new outbreaks of African swine fever to the World Health Organization, which have been recorded, and a total of 251,450 pigs were killed since the first outbreak back in 2019.
Mayroon pa rin mga new outbreaks, Albay, Quirino, Laguna, Quezon, Batangas, and Cavite. Ito yung bagong outbreak areas.
Huwag po tayong matakot sa ASF. Simula po noong 1907 nung madiscover yung ASF, wala ni isang tao na individual, manok, kambing, baka, kalabaw na nahawa ng ASF.
More reports of illegal transportation of infected animals have been emerged in China, and this is expected to be an ongoing issue globally. Swill feeding is illegal in some US states and some regions in Europe, but until the practice is banned or controlled, the spread of ASF can continue via this route. Number 9. The Chinese Philippines music video. A music video that was meant to spotlight China's efforts to help the Philippines check the spread of the coronavirus drew irate responses here, as it instead came across to many Filipinos who had seen it as a veiled attempt by Beijing to reassert its claim over the whole of the South China Sea. The 4-minute video funded by the Chinese embassy in Manila had clips of Chinese donations of test kits and protective gear for Filipino health workers. There were images of a recent medical mission by a group of Chinese epidemiologists. There were tributes as well to local nurses, food delivery workers, and security personnel. But the song's title, Iisang Dagat, touched a sensitive nerve, as it appeared to suggest legitimizing China's claims over waters that the Philippines considers part of its territories. And yes, it also had the line, "You and me belong to one sea." As of the time of recording, the video had already gotten over 222 dislikes and just 4,000 likes.
Humarap na sa pagdinig ng Senado ang dating Head Executive Assistant ni PhilHealth President and CEO Ricardo Morales na si Colonel Etrobal Laborte.
Number 8. The PhilHealth Corruption Scandal. The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, better known as PhilHealth, which has been helping finance COVID-19 testing and treatment in the country, has been rocked with allegations of fund mismanagement and overpricing.
No.
May nag-utos ba sa'yo o wala? Yun lang ang sasagutin mo. May nag-utos ba sa'yo o wala? Yes or no?
The board, sir...
May nag-utos ba sa'yo o wala? Yes or no lang?
Dubbed by whistleblower Thorsten Montes Keith as the crime of the year, senators bewailed as these controversies are coming out at a time when the country is grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic. A mafia involving the whole of Philippine Health Insurance Corporation's executive committee has stolen some 15 billion pesos from the agency using different fraudulent schemes. Resigned PhilHealth anti-fraud legal officer Thorsten Montes Keith alleged during Senate investigation on Tuesday, August 4. At the same time, a PhilHealth official said the agency is projected to run out of funds by 2022, with its 10-year actuarial life being cut drastically short by decreased collections and increased payouts due to the coronavirus pandemic. Number 7, the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has signed an anti-terrorism bill into law amid widespread opposition and fear it will be used to silence critics.
Officially designated as Republic Act number 11479, is a Philippine law whose intent is to prevent, prohibit, and penalize terrorism in the Philippines. The law was signed by President Rodrigo Duterte on July 3, 2020, and effectively replaced the Human Security Act of 2007 on July 18, 2020. Petitions have piled up at the Philippine Supreme Court to overturn a new anti-terrorism law championed by President Rodrigo Duterte, which could jail suspects without charge for weeks. The government says it needs the legislation to combat insurgencies and that it safeguards freedom. The Philippine Foreign Affairs Department even sent a letter to U.S. Congress members to allay concerns over the law, saying, "The Philippines remains committed to the protection of civil and political liberties as well as human rights." But human rights groups warn that the hardline Duterte administration could use the legislation to prosecute political opponents. The Philippine Catholic Church went so far as to compare the legislation to China's new national security law imposed in Hong Kong.
Maraming salamat po sa maraming taon na kami po ay inyong pinatuloy sa inyong mga tahanan. Maraming salamat po sa maraming taon na ating pinagsamahan. Hanggang sa muli, kapamilya.
Number 6, ABS-CBN goes off-air in compliance with NTC order. The ABS-CBN franchise renewal controversy is a national dispute in the Philippines regarding the renewal of the congressional franchise that would have allowed Philippine media network ABS-CBN continued broadcasting rights in the Philippines. Disputes between the government of President Rodrigo Duterte and ABS-CBN arose on the terms and conditions of the franchise renewal agreement. Amid the controversy, the Congress of the Philippines, the legislature of the country, was unable to renew the franchise before its expiration date. Exercising constitutional powers, the National Telecommunications Commission then issued a cease and desist order demanding ABS-CBN to immediately cease all of its free TV and radio broadcasting. After Congress denied it a franchise, media giant ABS-CBN announced a job cuts on Wednesday, July 15. ABS-CBN said in a statement that it is now forced to implement a retrenchment program as it operates in a limited capacity. The layoffs took effect on August 31st. ABS-CBN has yet to disclose how many employees of the network and its subsidiaries would lose their jobs.
Hey Playboy, it's about time and your time's up.
Halfway there at number 5, the I Don't Care shooting. K-pop group 21 made waves in nearly a decade since they dropped one of their most notable tracks. I Don't Care, released in 2009, became the trending video on YouTube in the Philippines and was among the trending topics also on Twitter December 21st, 2020, in what netizens dubbed as a sad and different revisit to the K-pop hit. Sonia Gregorio reportedly sang the chorus of this Korean track to Police Senior Master Sergeant Jonel Nuesca shortly before she was killed by the latter on Sunday. December 20 in Paniki, Tarlac, Nuesca also shot dead Sonia's son, 25-year-old Frank Anthony. The shooting incident happened after a confrontation between the suspect and the victims over the firing of a boga, a noisemaker usually made of PVC pipe or bamboo for revelries. The suspect, who surrendered to authorities in Tarlac on Monday, December 21st, and the Gregorios were neighbors. A video of the crime, now circulating on social media, immediately caught the ire of netizens, condemning Nuesca for allegedly disregarding the value of a person's life. It was also in the video when netizens pointed out how Sonia shouted to Nuesca, "I don't care," to the tune of the 2NE1 hit song.
Let go mo! Hindi kami! Nandito kami sa bahay namin! Okay! My father is a policeman! I don't care!
lumakas at isa na ngang typhoon ang bagyong Ulysses ilang oras bago pang inaasahang landfall nito dyan sa may Aurora, Quezon area.
Number 4, Super Typhoon Raleigh and Ulysses. Typhoon Goni, known in the Philippines as Super Typhoon Raleigh, was an extremely powerful tropical cyclone that made landfall as a Category 5 equivalent super typhoon on Catanduanes in the Philippines. As of November 11, the NDRRMC has reported 12.9 billion pesos of infrastructure damages, along with 5 billion pesos of agricultural damage with a combined total of 17.9 billion pesos. By December 10, total damage to agriculture and infrastructure was estimated at 20 billion pesos and 31 people were reported dead. The relief included donations totaling up to $11.48 million. Due to the damages caused by the typhoon, the name Raleigh will be retired and will be replaced with a new name for a future typhoon season. Typhoon Vamco, known in the Philippines as Typhoon Ulysses, was a powerful and deadly Category 4 equivalent typhoon that struck the Philippines and Vietnam and eventually became the second costliest Philippine typhoon of all time, only surpassed by that of Typhoon Haiyan. It also caused the worst flooding in Metro Manila since Katsana in 2009. In response to the typhoon's effects, the entire landmass of Luzon was placed under a state of calamity. As of December 2, the Philippines National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council had stated that the typhoon had 111 casualties, including 101 validated deaths and another 10 missing, and the damages caused by Vamco reached 50 billion pesos.
Taal volcano in the Philippines has thrown molten rock into the sky, triggering official warnings that a hazardous eruption of toxic gas may be imminent.
Number 3, the Taal volcano eruption. The eruption of Taal volcano in Batangas, Philippines on January 12, 2020 was a pre-magmatic eruption from its main crater that spewed ashes across Calabarzon, Metro Manila, and some parts of Central Luzon and Ilocos region, resulting in the suspension of school classes, work schedules, and flights in the area. A total of 39 people died as a result of this eruption of Taal, although only one reported case was directly caused by the eruption on January 12, 2020. According to the Manila Bulletin, people either perished because they refused to follow the evacuation order or decided to return to their homes or died in the evacuation centers of heart attacks caused by anxiety.
While the coronavirus continues to spread at speed. This time a week ago, there were under 3,000 cases in China. There are now more than 17,000 and more than 360 people have died. Outside China, there are more than 150 confirmed cases, and we now have a fatality in the Philippines too.
Number 2, the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic, also known as the coronavirus pandemic, is an ongoing pandemic of COVID-19 caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. It was first identified in December 2019 in Wuhan, China. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern in January 2020 and a pandemic in March 2020. As of December 25, 2020, more than 79.4 million cases have been confirmed, with more than 1.74 million deaths attributed to COVID-19. The first case in the Philippines was identified on January 30, 2020, and involved a 38-year-old Chinese woman who was confined at San Lazaro Hospital in Metro Manila. On February 1, a posthumous test result from a 44-year-old Chinese man turned out positive for the virus, making the Philippines the first country outside China to record a confirmed death from the disease. After a month without recording any cases, the Philippines confirmed its first local transmission on March 7th. Lockdowns or community quarantines have been imposed throughout the country since March 15 as a measure to limit the spread of the virus. The largest of these measures was the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon. As of December 25, there have been 467,601 confirmed cases of the disease in the country. Out of these cases, 430,791 recoveries and 9,062 deaths were recorded. It has the second highest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Southeast Asia after Indonesia and ranks 8th in Asia and 28th in the world. The largest single-day increase in the number of confirmed cases was reported on August 10, when the Department of Health announced 6,958
viral infection
new
that
cases.
attacks primarily your throat and lungs.
Definitely, this would have an effect on the perception on the PNP, but we will not be affected on this. We will continue to perform our mandate following our core philosophy of service, honor, and justice. And that is the reason